Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Catherine Niker. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. So today I have a very special guest. She is a broadcaster for the National Lacrosse League, as well as NBA Raptors TikToker, and just truly one of my favorite people. It's Ashley Docking. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, so good after that intro. Like, it made me sweat a little bit. You wrote professional in front of guests is a lot of pressure. Oh my God.
You know, I really just was winging that intro, and I feel bad. Like, I really should have asked you, like, what would you like me to say? Okay. And I didn't do that.
No, it's fine. I think it was great. I think it encapsulated who I am. What I stand for, and my heart and soul.
Yeah, I fully captured your whole essence.
My essence, yes.
In exactly. One sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I absolutely love that. Okay, we're going to get into some fun NBA hot topics and get into some Raptor stuff, Kyle's return, all that good stuff. But I wanted to first talk about this really fun Bleacher Report article about bold things that could happen this season, maybe before the trade deadline.
Right.
And one of the fun ones that I thought would be fun to discuss is the Atlanta Hawks. Sorry. Wow. Okay. Producer Lee, edit that out. The Atlanta Hawks going all in for Anthony Davis.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of talk about the Lakers having to trade for Anthony Davis, or, you know, getting rid of LeBron and moving on. But they're saying that the Lakers could receive John Collins and Onyeka Okongwu. I should know Okongwu. Justin Holiday and a 2023 first round pick in exchange for him, which I think sounds like a fun deal.
Right. You know, I guess, like, for me, I just think the Lakers are too proud to make a deal like that at this stage, right? So they were god awful. You go back to even the last 2 years that Kobe played for them, the Nick Young era, the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope era, the Lonzo Ball era, like, they were not good for a really long time. Even the first year LeBron James was there, they were not good. And then they bring in Anthony Davis, and then they win in the bubble, and everyone's like, yes, the Lakers are back. It's Showtime 2.0. It's the encore, raise the curtain. And then, you know, like, Anthony Davis gets hurt. He's really unreliable. And so I just don't know, first of all, if LeBron James will allow for it, first and foremost. And second of all, if they're willing to let him go at this stage, particularly where his health is still kind of in question. Obviously, Anthony Davis is good, okay? Like, the Lakers win when he plays well. He gets a double-double, like monster double-double, they win. But how long can he stay healthy for? And so I think there's a balance here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but there's a balance between proving that he can stay on the floor and then raising that value in order to trade him to get everything that they want to get. I just don't know if their PR team is like, we can't go through this again. We can't take an Anthony Davis trade and get a John Collins, and that's our marquee.
Yeah, no, I think you raise a lot of great points. Like, I totally agree. I do think the Lakers are too proud, definitely to a fault, right? Like, you know, like that, none of that is going well. But I also think that the real issue that I don't think people are talking about enough is Rob Pelinka. You know, like, he's doing all this talk, like, he's the one that actually needs to go. Like, the only reason you would ever need to trade Anthony Davis and LeBron James is because you have failed to build around them. Like, there is nothing wrong with those two as part of a championship core.
No, but then you let LeBron, if the rumors are to be believed, like, I'm not here, the one in
LA.
Everything,
right? He wanted Westbrook.
You tell me you're in LA. You tell me that's what LeBron has. But word on the street is that it's like LeBron working cohesively with him, right? Yeah. And so he's like, you know what I want to do? I want to play with all my friends. And then so whoever's executing on his behalf, like co-conspirators, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think that LeBron takes the heat for Rob. So I think you're right. But yeah, like, where is the recognition that what you decided to put together ended up being a sandcastle far too close to the tide. And it came in and 20 minutes later and everything just disintegrated.
Yeah. Yeah, because they gave Pelinka an extension too.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's like, it's going to end up influencing the future of player empowerment, I think, right? Because like I am very pro player empowerment, but really like should player empowerment include the front office to this degree? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like we moved on from player coach, the days of old, player coach in like the 70s, 80s, whatever the case may be. And now it's just player GM actually. I leave the court and I go upstairs to my office and I sign a couple pieces of paper and send some emails.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, you know, if whatever LeBron's post-playing career is going to be, I don't know if he's going to have a Jordan-like post-playing career where he ruins a franchise like the Hornets.
Oh, he's already doing that right now with the Lakers.
He's already doing that. He's doing that before he retires.
And I know they just won a title, so I think that I would like to at least call myself out for being like, LeBron's ruining this franchise. They just won a title 2 years ago, the Raptors before that, and I still milk the Raptors 2019 title. So I have to at least acknowledge the fact that I'm being hypocritical in this sense. But the expectations are also higher in LA, and the expectations are also higher for LeBron James regardless.
Absolutely. And also, you know, we're going to talk about Kyle later. We have evolved since that team, and we didn't put ourselves in a situation where now we're tanking for draft picks and that sort of thing either. So we've had a post-championship resurgence that is relevant.
Okay. All right.
And the Lakers, they're relevant in that they are noteworthy.
Yeah. But we're talking footnote.
We're talking footnote worthy.
Which is a very, very big difference for those who aren't of the academic persuasion.
Yeah.
Which I'm also not. I am a college professor, but I'm also not of the academic persuasion. We can dive into that later.
Yeah, well, because it's college.
I am not laughing. If anybody
I also went to college.
Institutions that I work for, I did not think that was funny.
Yeah, I also went to film school, so you know.
Yeah, that was just an independent set. That was just downtown Toronto, making it look like it was New York, trying to pass off your film as if it was in the Big Apple for half the price of a permit.
Oh my God, my student film was it's so cringe. Like you can't even keep that stuff for memories. Like it's so bad, but only because you grow as like a person and a storyteller. But I wrote this film about this like couple, like they were like high school lovers, and then they lost track of each other, and then they bumped into each other on the street, and they rekindled, and they're gonna like kind of like sneak off together, and then their car crashes and they die.
You know what? I'm into it.
You know, that's what happens when you're 19 years old and you don't know anything about the world.
You know what it sounds like to me, and I'm not trying to psychoanalyze you here, however, it's very much giving like I started writing the script when I was infatuated with somebody, new relationship, we're dating, talking, and then by the end of my screenplay, we broke up, and I was just like, and they all died. They fell off a cliff. They burned. It's like there's no cliffs in Regina. So what are you talking about?
That's so funny. And at the time, I was dating this guy, and then he left me to go back to his ex. But then I found out that they never broke up, and he was just cheating on her with me.
Look at me just seeing into your soul. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ashley Docking, medium.
Next time you see me on the side of the street with a set of tarot cards, just know you didn't.
Yeah.
Give me $20. Don't talk to me unless you're getting a reading.
Yeah. Next year's Busker Fest. I don't know where mediums go.
Oh
I don't know how they start out.
We've gotten like really off track, but one thing about Buskers, like I feel as though it takes so much courage to go and do something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's easy to be like, why is this clown standing on this box dressed in silver paint and only moving when I give him $2? But it's like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, it
you
is.
left your house and you were just committed to the cause, committed to the character. I just like, I could never. So like, I have the ultimate respect for buskers, honestly.
I totally agree with you. I did years ago, I was doing stand-up. I got booked to do some festival, and then it turned out we were just on the street. No joke. On like Dundas Street West. And
tough.
And then we had to just do stand-up to people walking by that we're not there for stand-up comedy like at all. And you're talking like families and kids and stuff. Yeah. So you're like, so it has to be like a clean set too, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then everybody, like every stand-up comedian, it's like, yeah, it's your goal, it's your job to get them to stop walking and pay attention to you. And they all had this like weird chip on their shoulder about it. But I was like, it's like, I don't want to berate these people.
No, that's a lot. It's very much exuding mansplaining, where it's like, oh, you think you're funny? Tell a joke then.
Yeah, it's very that.
Tell a joke. I was just like,
it's very that. I mean, I did well enough. I created a little crowd.
Of course you did, because you were a star.
Thank you. And then I was like physically exhausted, and then I was like, I need to like go home and decompress.
I'm out. Yeah,
I'm out. But with all of that being said, I would love Anthony Davis to be on the Hawks.
Anyway, circling back, I would love Anthony Davis to star in one of my screenplays where he's a star-crossed lover who does comedy. And people just stop because he's tall, but he's actually funny.
Yeah, I don't think Anthony Davis would be a good actor, but imagine I'm the one that gets it out of him.
Oh, I thought you meant the meet cute.
Oh, starring him and me?
Yeah, like you were handling him. You suck. And then he's actually funny and you're like, my bad. Hey, Aunt.
That's probably Blake Griffin's like first film. Like he's written that movie.
Twice.
Well, he's paid someone else to write it, but it's his idea. Anthony Davis on the Hawks.
Yeah, we don't think so.
I don't think it's gonna happen. Unlike what Bleacher Report has here, but it's a fun idea. And also too, what they would propose is that they're also proposing that the Lakers might go after Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal's been in trade rumors for like literal years now.
Yeah,
like it feels like eons.
Yeah.
So I'm also not huge into that, but it's fun to ponder. I mean, it would be bad for the Raptors if Anthony Davis was healthy and in the Eastern Conference.
Yes.
But not bad to the point where I think we could never like beat them, but it wouldn't be good for us.
It's just a lot. Like what's happening now with the Lakers, right? And it happened when Anthony, or my good old friend Anth, was on the Pelican. I'm remembering that correctly, right? I feel like it was 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
But it's like in this day and age, you can't trade 3s for 2s as your primary source of income, if you will. And so when he's playing really well for the Lakers and they're winning, he's getting like 35 and 17. And that's really unsustainable. So to your point, if he were to go to the Hawks and play with someone like Trey, who can put up 50 on his own in the blink of an eye when he gets hot, yes, that would be concerning. It would very much be a problem.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, our other speculative here is it's that Kevin Durant and the New York Knicks finally come together. This has New York media written all over it. Is Bleacher Report based in New York?
Yeah, aren't they?
They must be.
LA. I don't know.
Well, they've probably got an office there.
Actually, I think they're in LA. I don't know. I don't work there. So
fair. Neither do I. But basically, they're saying that Brooklyn Nets would trade Kevin Durant, Julius Randle, Manuel Quickly, and Derrick Rose, along with 2023, 2025, and 2027 first round picks. This is never going to happen.
No, it's a lot.
This is a lot. Why would they move on from Durant?
Well, okay, so first and foremost, Durant is one of my favorite players. Not only is he one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen to ever grace the hardwood, he also just keeps it real. And he always has. He's been a weirdo on Twitter since the beginning of time. And he's just owned it. The comment that he said about his team where he was like, listen, what do you expect me to do? I'm running out a starting lineup with Nick Claxton. And you expect us to win because I'm on the floor. That's just not the way it is. He's like, respectfully, like, it just is what it is. And some people are going to feel a way about that. You can't hang your teammates out to dry, blah, blah, blah. But he's facing down the barrel of a gun every night. These other players are not. No one has any expectations of them. It's him, Kyrie, but Kyrie's not with the team, and Ben Simmons, who just like Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. Like, he has his own saga. Every single thing with the Nets is so dramatic. And I know you didn't ask this, but I just need people to understand that they are not having a turnaround as is. You need to stop believing in it. I feel like I'm like yelling at a kid who thinks his parents are going to get back together. It's like, they've moved on. The family is broken. Stop.
I don't know why we're yelling at the kid, but
stop holding out hope because they've been nagging all day. Where's my mom? It's not going to happen, right? Anyway, so I just think that I've been swindled, finagled, bamboozled by the Nets for long enough, where I've given them so many opportunities to put their money where their mouth is. And for whatever reason, despite the top tier talent that the roster does possess, they have been unable to do so. And they're just marred in so much controversy that for me, I just feel like it's too far gone. It's too far gone. Durant asked for a trade. So he's not happy there, which I understand, but what you outlined, I just don't think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like, you talked about like Nick Claxton. Also, like Joe Harris has really struggled this season too. So it's not even just like Ben Simmons and the Kyrie stuff. It's like a lot of their supporting cast that's supposed to be able to help them offensively is not there. Yeah, their coach isn't there. It is a disaster. And I love, like, when we look back at this and we think about like the summer when Kevin Durant wanted to be traded, and they were like, no, we're gonna keep him. They referred to when the Lakers kept Kobe Bryant and were able to win a championship as if that team were dealing with the same amount of turmoil. And it's so laughable now. You know what I mean?
You just never want to put yourself in a position to have to live up to expectations like that. Like, if I learned anything, it's like low expectations, overperforming, not promising 10,000 things that have a million variables that are outside of your control. And that's the thing too. It's like, you can say you're going to do A, B, C, and D, but there are so many moving pieces where it's not like, I'm like, okay, Catherine, I'm going to meet you at 12. That's pretty much within my control to make that promise. But if I'm like, I'm going to meet you on Mars at noon.
Okay, so we've just compared the winning a championship to you meeting me on Mars at noon local time.
Because I'm always late, so it's not the problem about getting to Mars. It's about
showing up on time.
Being there at 12 before the reservation gets.
Yeah. I'll be in the capsule in Mars, but will I see you on time?
Powdering my face. Like, how much time do I got? Light years? 5 light years? Shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's hilarious that they think that they would move on from Kevin Durant. If they were going to, they would have done it by now. And it's not going to be the Knicks. I don't know why. I don't know what team on earth would look at Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickly, and Derrick Rose and being like, yep. And three draft picks and 3 draft picks.
One.
And be like, yeah, I'm just gonna give up Kevin Durant.
How about you keep Julius and just give me Derrick? Actually, like, No.
No, I just, yeah, I don't know. I think everybody just like, I think what's rooted in this, aside from like New York media bias, is I think everyone's just desperate to see Kevin Durant in a better situation. Because I think a lot of people feel the way you do. Like they love Kevin Durant. He is one of the best players we've seen. He does always keep it real.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people love those things about him. And it just sucks to see him in this situation that, for the most part, aside from being best friends with Kyrie, hasn't really been the cause of a lot of this drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the sympathy lies. It's that it isn't, again, aside from, I said this last week, but I was like, Kevin Durant needs new friends. But that's his big flaw in all of this, is that he needs new friends.
Yeah, that he's loyal to a fault.
Yeah, fair. Okay, I also want to talk about Ja Morant. He is really making an MVP case for himself this year. I know everybody has Luka on their mind, and very well could be Luka when it's all said and done. Not saying that he isn't in this, but I thought it was interesting that he was criticized for not making his teammates better, and I thought that was interesting because I wonder. I mean, even if that's true, I just wonder how much that matters. I mean, it's a value that I appreciate when a great team, like when a great player makes everyone else around them better. But I don't know if it has to be his responsibility to do. Okay. And I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, like I disagree with that sentiment. We talked about, you're saying Kevin Durant needs new friends. I think Ja Morant's presence is a present, and that everyone on his team is just like, oh, thank God that you're part of our circle, that we're the ones that get to play with you and see you every day, because it seems like he's beloved. There hasn't been any slander or anything, or any even the internet sleuths haven't found side eye on the bench when he does something. Like, he is that guy. And again, like, people are acting like he's 40 points, like he's Gary Trent Jr. stat line. 40 points, no dribbles, 2 turnovers, no assists, no rebounds. Ja Morant averages nearly 7 assists as well as being his team's top scorer. Him just being there puts so much pressure on a defense, because not only can he shoot from distance, he can create his own opportunities, he can get out of sticky situations, and he has the vision and athleticism to get to the rack or find somebody who's open. And respectfully to our fellow Canadian, you think you would do an interview with, say, like Dylan Brooks and be like, do you wish you had less time to shoot? Do you wish you had less time to make decisions? And does Ja Morant allow for you to get that extra time? Yes. Yes, of course. I never understood that when somebody is being so fantastic for their team and also well-rounded, to say, oh, he needs to make his teammates better. Like, what?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, Ja Morant is like if Allen Iverson passed the ball and could fly. Could literally fly in the air.
Yeah.
I think he's such a special player. Last year I called the Grizzlies like my league pass team, but Ja Morant is a league pass just forever guy.
Yes.
To me, that's never going to change. And he, like you said, like he is a good teammate. And this whole like notion of like these guys in the past that made their teams better, like that was always said about like Jordan, and maybe, I don't remember if people said that about Kobe or not, but it's like they were very no, definitely not. A Kobe
the Nick Young Lakers, like everyone was like, Kobe, like you're not passing to them, you're not helping.
A Kobe assist was when he missed the ball and someone else got an offensive rebound. Basically. Yeah. But I like that Ja Morant is just very chill about it. Like I feel like he doesn't really let it get to him, even though he is on Twitter. He does see things for sure, but he's not really letting it get to him. He's letting the game come to him. I think he's just amazing to watch. I disagree with this criticism fully. And I think if he doesn't win MVP, I think he could very easily be runner-up in the voting.
Interesting. And it's so funny because things have such a weird way of changing. You mentioned the Knicks earlier. It's like they're having trouble. No one can shoot the three. Evan Fournier's been on the bench, even though he set a franchise record in threes last year. You think about Boston last season, they were just down and out in the basement until they weren't. And so you have someone like John Morant, who everyone's talking about, MVP. My fear is, because I do really like him. I am a fan of his. I think he has a great case to make. My fear is that because he's just been the front runner so early and often, that people get sick of talking about it. And you know just as well as I do that the news cycle always wants to spice it up, always wants to mix it up. Someone wants to be the next person to have that epiphany opinion that everyone's like, oh, I never thought about that. Where it's inherently, you're like, maybe sometimes it just is as simple as it seems, right? When you talk about Nikola Jokic, for example, and his MVP candidacy, it's like, yes, did Joel Embiid have an amazing season last year? For sure. But like, Jokic is transcendent. He's everything he does is so elite at every single part of the game. So maybe Ja's the one who kind of like stops that narrative, because he does these things where an inbounds pass steal is a highlight that we're seeing on SportsCenter. When he times it, turns around, flies, like you says, catches it in the air like an NFL receiver and comes down with the ball. Like, what? So yeah, Ja for MVP. I support this. I'll put out lawn signs.
I didn't put this on our list today, but Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had some MVP chants this week.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
He's not going to win MVP, but I think it's nice that he's having a nice year.
No, but the Raptors will have Thad Young on the
and chant MVP.
Chant MVP because he had 10 and 8. And you're like, yes, we love a fan base that loves their own. Yes, but no.
No, but I will say I really hope that I hope he becomes an all-star this year.
I love Shea.
And I think as, you know, Raptors fans, we're on the East Coast, our Western Conference votes. I feel like we should give Shea some love. Yeah. I think that'd be nice. Yeah. That's all. That's the beginning and end of my
Thank you.
Shea all-star case.
I reclaim my time. Thank you.
Okay. Kyle Lowry returned to Toronto. It was fun to see him as always. The Heat, however, are struggling this season. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, that the Heat need to move on from Kyle Lowry, or they need to make some trades or do something to be back in championship contention. Because, I mean, the standings are, sorry, I'm going to Google this on the spot. The NBA standings in the Eastern Conference are very close. You know, it is early in the season, but they're not currently in the playoff picture. They're currently 10th.
Yeah.
So that's like bottom of the play-in. No one wants to see the Miami Heat in a play-in. I'll say that. I don't think you'd want to be facing them if you were the Washington Wizards.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
Was it too shady?
Yeah, it was. It was very shady. And don't act like you don't know what you're doing. You understand tone. You understand inflection. Please. Washington Wizards.
Okay, but am I wrong?
Hates Harry Potter.
But am I wrong?
I mean, if I had to put $50 down on who would win that play-in game, I would certainly.
You're betting on the Wizards?
No, I would certainly be in South Beach.
Okay. So we're both saying the same thing, but you decided to say it with $50.
Yeah. My money where my mouth is. Yeah.
Okay, fair. I was being shady. That's fine. I can accept that. If any Washington Wizards fans want to come at me, that's fine. But how do we feel about Miami Heat situation? And do we want to see Kyle in a different situation as people who love him so much?
So, unpopular opinion.
Love it. You want him to go to the Wizards. I see. I get you. I see you.
I want him to go to the Magic for leaving us. Okay, I'm petty. I want him to go play in
That's your
with Terrence Ross. Okay, so I am very fickle when it comes to these repetitive narratives. I love Kyle Lowry. I think his story in terms of how he came to be an all-star and NBA champion is fantastic, and quite frankly might be a little miraculous, because that's just not how careers go, generally speaking, for somebody who's his stature and who historically his caliber of player until he really kind of blossomed in Toronto was. So I love everything about that for him. I love what he did for the city, but I am so tired of, oh, he's welcome home, Kyle versus old team, Kyle versus old team. It's just like, listen, we have work to do and he's a distraction. You need to put that away, get that sentimentality out of here, and let's talk about Scotty Barnes. Let's talk about Fred VanVleet. Let's talk about what's happening in our house. You know what I mean? Stop peering out the window, looking at what your neighbors are doing, pretending to iron plants because you're being nosy about what's going on in someone else's front yard. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think we're getting a window into what your student film would have been.
A mixture of like Law and Order and you. And I don't know which character I am. I think I'm more so Joe. But so with that being said, the thing that makes me sad about Kyle Lowry's departure from Toronto, and I understand why it had to happen, and I don't think it was a bad thing that happened, but it makes me sad that it seems as though he's now set up to end his career as like a journeyman, as opposed to Haslam, who just camped out in Miami, was a lifer, now is kind of the uncle that everyone loves to hate, goes to with whatever issue, probably beats your ass in cards or dominoes or whatever they're playing on the plane, right? But the difference I obviously am going to say is the skill level, the talent level. Kyle Lowry was obviously worth $85 million. So they executed the sign and trade. I get it. But it still just makes me sad that now we're having conversations like that. Does he need to move on from the Heat? Do the Heat need to move on from him? Is he going to find another home? What does that look like in 2 years from now? What does that look like towards the end of his career? Does he come back to Toronto on like a sweetheart deal? That's the only thing, but I obviously understand him securing the bag.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, and he said he wants to end his career in Toronto. Yeah. So, you know, even if it's like on a 10-day or something, and that will the 905. No, you
didn't. Bobby's like, no, we love you. We're mad that you forced us into this because you wanted so much. Here's a little 905 jers. We'll see you in Saga City. Thanks, Kyle.
Listen, if Kyle got sent to the 905,
you would know.
Twitter, I can't even imagine Twitter.
You know what, though? Tickets would be so accessible for the people that actually are like the real ride or die fans. Imagine that you look at the after sale market or the resale market, and you're just like, oh, the 905 ticket is $6,000.
They're worse than Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah, like I'm confused. Yeah.
But I love this sentiment of moving on, because I've been feeling that way about every time DeMar DeRozan comes back.
Oh, thank you.
It's like, it's getting to be a bit much now. Like, he was traded in 2018. Like, it's the end of 2022 now.
And I love I love the loyalty to a certain degree. I love that Toronto is a city that doesn't just turn on their guys. And I actually am wondering how you feel about this, because I'm not very in tune with many people who are like super, super fanatics or like really involved in fandom outside of Toronto. I have a few friends from Philly, and they're a very special breed of sports fan themselves. But I feel like Toronto Raptors fans, they don't hate anybody on this team. They will make an excuse for almost everybody on this team all the time. And I love that loyalty. But also, to some degree, you have to kind of let it go.
That's what being a homer is.
No, but even
No,
still,
right?
like, some fan bases will hate that guy. They're like, get this bum out of here. Why is he touching the floor after a game that, like, a bad
Yeah.
game from Coloco?
Well,
Or
we do.
something?
Well,
Which,
we do have these like I was calling them last week panic fans,
okay.
right? So we don't have like you're saying like critical like this person isn't playing to the degree we need them to play. You know, we should trade them. But we'll have people who are just like, oh my God, like we won games without Fred VanVleet. We should trade Fred
Yeah.
VanVleet. Like those kinds of fans, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And yeah, we tend to panic more. It's just our Toronto neurosis,
Yeah.
I think, than like New York neurosis. That's like, you know, I don't want to do a fake New York accent.
I wouldn't suggest it, but yeah, they yeah, New
You
York.
know, in my mind, I pictured someone doing the "get this garbage out of here" thing, but I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, you wanted to do a Jack Armstrong?
A Jack Armstrong.
Go ahead.
It's fine. No, I can't
Same
do it.
space.
I can't do it. You'll give me space.
You have the power to edit it out.
Yeah, no. We'll move on. I'm not gonna do. I don't do impressions. But yeah, no, you're right. Like that is our Toronto neurosis. We're very sentimental. You know, very sentimental. Like even like before when we won the championship and we're having all that statue talk.
Yeah,
I was like, let's just do statues of everybody, the whole team. I think because to me that's so fun, and we should scatter them across the city.
But then somehow people won't forgive Vince Carter.
Yeah. Well, this is a bit of a deeper conversation into fandom, but I think. Oh no, I'm gonna go here and just get lit up in the comments probably, but I feel that for men. In society we don't give them enough emotional outlets, and then that's why it all goes into sports, right? Like sports fans are irrationally emotionally invested. That is the economy of sports, right? So then it's like when they don't, it's like, no, I'm not forgiving Vince Carter or any of those things.
But they really mean Sheila from year one of undergrad.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with this. Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what's happening. You and I have other outlets, so we're good.
Yeah, like our next screenplay. We're forgiving ourselves off a cliff.
We have short films and screenplays.
We have daily journals.
Yeah, we have journals, we have crystals, we have white wine. You know, we've got a lot.
Yes.
We have a lot of other things.
All jokes aside, like you're absolutely right, because you know what? When I was watching Love is Blind 3, the reunion, SK said that he's like, first of all, he was found out to be a fraud and he was cheating on his fiance and all those great things. However, spoiler alert. However,
I'm like midway through the season. I'm
so sorry.
It's fine. I don't care. Again, I have other outlets.
The one thing that he said was that it was the first time in his life that he was in a situation where there was just a group of men who were okay and like safe to share their feelings with each other. Any, no holds barred, whatever. So it kind of just reminded me of that. But yes, I agree with that. But you know what? In this case, I'm kind of fine with it. Bottle it up, gents, because I love it. I love the irrationality that I can just look at on Twitter and be like, are you unwell? Bottle it up and unleash it. Just not at me, please. But at your favorite sports team, for sure. Burn a jersey.
Let's bottle it up.
That's a universal statement. That's a nice salad dressing. That's takeout from a restaurant.
Oh my God.
That's liquor on the street. Bottle it up.
Wow. Cue that emotional damage kid.
Listen, I'm not here to take on that baggage.
No, and either. Well, I suppose I am in the comments. What else am I gonna do?
All right.
All right, but it's it is still always good to see Kyle. But I do agree. I think at some point we do need to move on a little bit from the sentiment and just focus on who we have. And I think for the most part we are. I mean, I think everyone is very excited for this team in this season, I will say. Okay, what else is my Raptors topic? Looking back at the Lowry trade. Oh yeah, so I read this article about, how we've kind of come on top since the Lowry trade.
Oh,
because
yeah.
because I
we
think
won it?
well, that's the question. Did we win it? Because of course we got Precious Achua and
Yeah.
we got Goran Dragic, which didn't work out, but we were able to flip that for Thad Young.
Yeah. I think the problem that people have with this, to be unable to call it an unequivocal win, is the draft pick that went with Grumpy Dragic.
Right.
That people are like, oh my God, it was a first, I believe. So people don't really love that, for example. But the one thing that I'm always adamant about is that there is a certain element of risk when it comes to draft picks. And I think because the Toronto Raptors have had so much success in finding these diamond in the roughs or building players into at least reliable, serviceable guys that they've found in the draft, and had them play kind of above their station where people were predicting that they would be, that everyone seems to think that it's going to be a no-brainer that this pick is going to end up being something useful. I am of the mindset that a current asset that you have seen actual glimpses of is more valuable than like a mid-range draft pick. Of course, if we're talking first overall, like lottery stuff like that, that's different.
Yeah, but we're not talking about a top 13.
No, we're not. We're talking about, is Precious Achua going to be somebody who has a low floor when he can find some consistency and the potential to have a high ceiling because he still is so young, right? But he's athletic, he's tall, he's defensive minded, he can make layups now, because when he first got here, it was like, my guy, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then also you have someone who's fickle like Nick Nurse. I know he's your favorite guy in the world, but he's kind of strayed away from it for a little while, but he was not shy for a long time about talking to the media and kind of airing dirty laundry about what was going on in-house. I need this guy to do this straight up. I've had this conversation with him and I'm kind of putting him on blast and challenging him in the public spectrum to be better, and he just did that with Precious. Unfortunately, Precious obviously got hurt. His ankle is mashed up, and hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Injury report: ankles mashed up.
It's just mashed up. But yeah, I think that it's still a win for Toronto because at the end of the day, you weren't going to pay $85 million for Kyle. You just weren't. And
not at this stage in his career.
And what he did was he gave the blueprint to somebody in Fred VanVleet and to a degree Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby on how to get it done. His fingerprints and his impact are still all over this team. And there might not be guys who have the penchant for drawing fouls and taking charges and have that kind of sixth sense about things that Kyle really did have that made him special. But you have someone like OG Anunoby who's leading the league in steals. And Kyle was always handsy, getting his hands on the ball, stuff like that. I don't want to start any untoward rumors. But then you have Fred VanVleet who's doing the exact same thing. And then you have guys like Chris Boucher. Somehow he's like taking a charge, taking 10,000 seconds to hit the ground because he's so tall. So you have those sprinkles of Kyle's anatomy throughout the team. And so it ended up being something, in my opinion, that did work out for the Raptors.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I completely agree with you. And yeah, I mean, also too, like, that Tampa season, as terrible as it was, I mean, it brought us Scotty Barnes. So that was worth it. That was worth sitting through. My God, I'm never going to be nostalgic for the Tampa season.
So that was the edit of Russell Westbrook yelling at kids in the empty venue. Remember that?
No, I must have blocked that out of my mind.
He obviously wasn't yelling at kids, but he made a play. He like got hype about it, and then they cut away to like the moms and kids section, and there's just like kids eating candy and parents like holding their babies, and it just looks like he's not yelling at them, but it just the cutaway looked like,
oh my God,
in an empty Disney World that he's like, I know that's right. Wow. The kids are just like, Russell?
Well, if there's any internet sleuths who can find that would be an amazing deep dive to
I'll
find.
Try and send it to you.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love that so much. You're talking about the Live My Life, Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse Hottie Highlight of the week. Not entirely sure I have one this week.
Wow, you're slipping.
I'm slipping. Last week I was talking about how Will Hardy, the head coach of the Utah Jazz, is like such a hottie.
Okay.
He's only 34, which like hurts, frankly.
To see where he is in life.
At 34?
At 34, sir.
I mean, that's accomplished.
Yes.
You know,
you're accomplished.
I'm accomplished.
I think I'm not.
Will Hardy, but I'm not 34.
Yeah, who is these days even?
Yeah, who is 34? But I will say that, and I said this last episode, but Nick Nurse is doing another coaching summit in person for people who are coaches in like other school rankings or other recreational leagues. If you are a certified basketball coach, you can go to the coaching summit, and he does like a very long Q&A with people. And I think that's cool that he does that. And I believe it's November 29th, or no, not this weekend, the following weekend. So that's the 25th. Yeah. So definitely check that out if that's something you're involved with. I do think you need to actually be a coach, like you need some sort of certification. But again, if you're crafty, I'm sure you can work around it. I'm not that types of arts and crafts. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about forgery?
Yes, I am not a forgery. I'm not that type of arts and crafts.
Anyway, Nick Nurse ends all his coaching summits. So anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah. I should do with this segment is just talk about what Will Hardy is doing, and then just say I wish Nick Nurse was doing it too. But when I started the segment, it was like, because I started this show like in 2020, and like pre-pandemic, and it was like all the coaches are still wearing like suits, and he always had these like very interesting fits.
Yes.
So I would always talk about Nick Nurse's fits, and now that we're like years into these horrendous polos.
Okay, so thank you.
It's just been hard.
I need it to end.
The polos need to end.
I need it to stop.
Like I get it in the bubble. Maybe it was hard to pack.
Not everyone can pull it off. Here's the thing: a quarter zip. It looks really nice on some people. I think some people can like wear it well, fill it out in certain areas, but some people just aren't meant for that life. Like I'm not meant for polo shirt life. I have a broad back and I have no shape from the front. And so it's just not flattering. No, it's fine. It's fine. Me and my friend Ashley, we're just team no shape from the front. It's just slender vibes. Turn from the side, you're like, haha. But a polo is not. My point is that people need to dress for their bodies, and all bodies are different. And I am with you that I don't love quarter zips for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say messy, but like casual, like get them in the basketball uniform.
Yeah. It's too casual.
Get them in the basketball uniform with one sleeve and a dry fit tight underneath. Get Nick Nurse walking up and down the floor in Steph Curry 4s or whatever number he's on for his sneaker. That's what I want in my life.
Steph Curry 4s?
No, I want basketball coaches to wear basketball uniforms like baseball coaches.
Oh my God. That would be funny.
That's what I mean.
That would be worse. That would be so much worse. Could you imagine Popovich in that?
You don't want to see Popovich with like a headband on and an XL basketball?
I mean, I do, but I don't know if I wish that on him. I do agree with you in terms of like, not all fits are good. Like I talked about this before. I don't wear jerseys because they make me look really boxy. Like they just don't suit me. But I want the jersey dress to come back.
You do?
Because I could rock a jersey dress. If it were longer, I would look so much better.
Get a big jersey and get it tailored.
No, but I'm a big girl. There is no big jersey I could just tailor. It has to be physically longer.
So what I got for my 16th birthday was a sewing machine because I am low-key the home ec girl.
So you are arts and crafts.
I am artsy, yes. And I sew my project. My teacher's like, all right, you guys need to turn one item of clothing into something else. And because I was like that girl, I turned my friend's Boston Celtics jersey into a tank top and a skirt. And we used, I'm telling you this because we use a different fabric panel to widen it on the side. So the full jersey's intact, but you get something that would just be like down the side. Or you could do like a shoelace, like a thick Fat Farm shoelace. So you could use it like a corset to really
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. I might need 2 jerseys to pull that.
And you know what? If that's the case, that's fine.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Haute couture spoke.
It's an old Tracy McGrady and an old Vince Carter.
Oh,
the number on the back is 115 somehow.
Like area code. Do you remember area code? I feel like that was really a thing, like with the 504 boys back in
yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with that genre.
Yeah. Anyway, Ashley, what an amazing time. This is a very silly off the rails episode, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it was
it's going to be fantastic. I mean, it's coming out on a Friday, so it's a great way to get into the weekend with. Yes. For people listening and not watching on YouTube, let us know where they can find you on the internet and just what you're up to in general.
So OnlyFans / no, I'm joking. They can find me in the deep dark corners of the web. I'm on.
Imagine we had OnlyFans, but it was just this podcast.
Just the biggest swindle in the
so disappointing.
In pajamas and robes done up to our neck in the middle of the winter, drinking a tea. So with a mask on of some kind, a charcoal mask. So you can find me at SmartAsh, SMRTASH on Twitter, or just my name on TikTok and Instagram, Ashley Docking.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being with me this week.
Thanks for having me. It was so good.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And also just like, men, don't bottle up your feelings. Actually talk to somebody because it's problematic. I just want to add that in there if they've made it this far.
And before I get canceled.
And before it becomes a thing where it's like, Ashley doesn't care about men's feelings. It's like, well, but also someone does.
Someone does. Men, don't bottle up your feelings. Have a healthy relationship with sports.
Yes.
And with everything else.
Agreed. Confirmed.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Till next time. Bye.